It's a Beauty and the Breakdown exclusive. We're coming from you live.
We're coming from you live.
We're coming from you.
We're coming for you
right now, bitch. www.beautyandthebreakdown. I don't even know how to fuck you find this shit.
HTTP // beautyandthebreakdown.com.
beautyandthebreakdown.com/episode 40.
Yeah, what episode number are we at?
No, I think we're at like 31,
Dude,
33.
that's so insane.
I know. It's been over a year. We've gotten so much better.
Oh, I know. If you listen to the
I
first
listened to our
episode
first one, I'm
compared to
like,
the last one, I know the first one's like so fucking cringy.
Yeah, it's because we were trying to make it a beauty podcast, and then we were like, no, we're insane.
I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen regardless, to be honest.
wanted it to be specific. Oh my
I know, but
God,
we
look
are-
at this fucking...
Moth. Dude, I know. It looks like a fucking bird. That thing is huge.
Wyatt, what's up with the moth situation in this bitch?
I think you guys have an infestation.
You might have a moth problem.
Wyatt coming to get it.
Takes the mic out. He's about to go kill it with the mic. Are you about to go beat it?
No,
It's outside.
It's outside.
Wyatt is a true gentleman. He was going to come out here just to kill that
When
thing.
we had the moth on here and you kept freaking out, you're like, put it down,
It was
Sarah.
dead. You guys were mutilating it, dude. That's illegal. You can't do that to a corpse.
That's not illegal.
It's illegal to mutilate a corpse.
Only if it's a butterfly.
Oh my god.
You can fuck a moth. Fuck up a moth.
You-
Don't fuck a
oh,
moth.
no,
that would
no,
be
absolutely
weird.
not,
I wouldn't do
absolutely
that.
Anyway,
How are you?
I feel like today is going to be one of those days where we're both in a mood to be vulnerable and like things have happened and we have a little bit more freedom to speak about certain situations. But no, truly, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, us staying out until 3 a.m. was not ideal last night, but
That was so silly, goofy. I have not been out in months.
I think
And
whenever anyone says let's go to Envy, it's time to take us home.
yeah,
it's time to go
I'm
home.
going to a club,
No
put
way.
me down, take me out back, shoot me. I'm not kidding, because that like I don't have that I like don't like
the mental
drinking,
stop.
but when I do drink, I love it, and then it's like balls to the wall.
Yeah.
like
We're gonna do this all fucking podcast.
like
Me and
I
Sarah aren't the same person.
just go all in, and then all of a sudden I'm like
In the middle of a dance club in Envy, talking to people from high school, fucking knee deep in half their bottle of Tito's.
and we walked all the way
We
home.
literally
I was being
stayed
such
until
a brat.
close.
I was being
Like-
such a brat about walking home too.
I know. I was like, babe, it feels so good outside. Like I'm not calling. We were literally not even a mile away from home.
I'm not a walker.
I like walking.
You're like, come on, let's walk. I was like,
Do.
no,
Sober up a little bit.
not my thing. You know what I wish?
What?
People would stop fucking slamming our door.
I know.
I'm getting real tired of people coming into our house and slamming our doors. And I get it. You know, maybe we've caused some of it.
So I feel like we have had to I feel like we've not touched on like relationship topics too much on this podcast. And I think for like saving face for any situation that either of us have been in really. But I think we should deep dive into it today. I think this is the day that we get vulnerable and talk about some of the stuff.
Oh.
And I do think too,
I
like,
also feel like even on social media, I like give off this image of like, I've been single since 2020. Like,
not you getting nervous over there playing with your hair. I can like literally see you getting so nervous to talk about this.
I'm like,
I feel like this is like, I feel
it's
like for me
such
and
a
you
private
though,
thing though. Like your
It
relationship
is.
and like who you date is like such a private thing, especially
and
when
like you don't want to broadcast it out, obviously, and like not all parts, but I think that like some of the stuff that like you and I have gone through, it's like really important to like kind of be transparent about.
me already biting my nails. This is why like I don't understand how like people go on like TV and do like a dating show. Like watching Love is Blind and stuff, I'm like, you're putting
yeah.
the most vulnerable part of yourself out to live TV. And like I won't even tell some of my like somewhat close friends what I'm going. Like I tell you everything.
Yeah.
But then like to like air like relationship stuff for me is just something that like should be private unless like you're marrying that person.
Yeah. And I do think though that like I feel even since like being in therapy is one of those things where like I was like really scared to go back, and like I cannot stress enough how much even just like the 5 sessions I've had with her. I mean, like I feel like I've made a lot more progress in a month than I've made in a year on a lot of things. And
I've just
I
been
don't-
listening in on your therapy sessions, just getting a little secondhand therapy.
Yeah. I mean, I think
I was like upstairs and I was like, oh, that is a good point she just made. Like, I'm not paying for therapy, but I'm kind of getting it, you know?
yeah,
Secondhand
and
upstairs.
she's amazing. Like I truly am such an advocate for like going to therapy, and like this stuff's like hard. Like I've literally bawled my eyes out every single session that I've had with her, and I feel such like an emotional release from that, and like talking about things that would normally be like really hard to say to just like your friend or like to someone that you really trust. It's not the same. Like it's not. And
well, because she comes back with feedback that is like
professional and constructive.
Like she's like, she's smart. You're not.
Yeah,
getting
it's not like
it
the
from
blind
me,
leading the blind.
Me, where I'm like, fuck him. Who cares?
Fuck
They
him.
suck. Like,
Fuck him. He's
stupid.
gross.
I don't
You can
like
find
him.
7 of those somewhere else, babe. You can pick one of those up from the same nightclub you found him.
Yeah, fuck his dad. Like I don't give good advice.
Kiss his mom.
Like,
Open mouth kiss his dog.
steal his dog.
Fuck his brother, dude. Make him watch. Stream it live on Twitch.
Not me like needing my vape for this like nervousness.
But
I'm
I mean, like, I just want to
I'm getting vulnerable on this podcast. I have
no,
my
I
vape
know.
in
Like,
my hand.
I do feel like today's the day. So I'm gonna preface this by I'm gonna go back on mine a little bit. I'll get into mine, and then I feel like sometimes this like gives you the doorway to see how far you want to take it. So I was in a 5-year relationship, and then when I went to cosmetology school, I came out of it, moved here.
Came out of the haze.
I mean, and like I think when we were in school, like that whole year, I was like really. I mean, the entire year we were in school, like there wasn't one time that I wasn't like confused about that situation.
Even when I met you in school, though, like the first day, like within a week of talking to you, I was like, I don't think you like the guy you're with.
Yeah. And like the problem with
like, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, like I think that, and this is like something I've like figured out through therapy with my therapist, is that like you're always gonna repeat patterns. You really are. Like it's comfortable. It is something
like your
that like
family. Like
yes, yeah, and
definitely.
like I was with someone that I really like and I've told this to her. I don't think that I'm gonna have that same capacity to love someone as like hard and as much as I loved that specific person.
Yeah,
and like that is very emotional for me because
oh my god,
it sets the tone for all your relationships moving forward. Like I think that you're always going to be looking for like that type of love when like,
because it's like not good love, but
it's
it
not.
feels so
It's not.
good. That's how I feel about like, okay, so like your long-term I have like kind of the same one.
Yeah.
We'll call them Mike and Chad just to like save face. So like your Mike is my Chad, where like I will never be able to replace that feeling that I had with him because it was like just like this feeling that like you said, like you can't replace it. It's like true fucking
and like
love,
its purest form. Like would have done anything for the person. Like
oh my god,
there were times
I would have
like,
moved fucking mountains for that man.
I'm getting like emotional about it now, but like it's one of those things where like I think that I wanted that person to be my person so bad.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to make it work so bad, and I tried.
So
I know, but I like literally like just the purest like amount of love you can have for a person, and like leaving that situation was so hard because like I knew when it was done, but I also knew that like that was not something I was gonna find again. But I don't think you're supposed to. Like it wasn't a healthy love, like you said. But that feeling I think is like hard to not miss.
Yeah, because you miss the bad parts too. Like you always like remember the good parts, but like sometimes I even miss the bad parts. Like I remember one time we were in Chicago and we were just awful. Like our friends, both of us hated us together because we like loved each other so much that it was miserable for everybody else.
Yeah, like you fight every time you're with your people. Like when you drink, you can't have constructive conversations or you're always arguing. Like sometimes it can become like physical. Like I had these stiletto heels on, like because I used to be, you know, when I was with him, like I just wanted to be so perfect for him, and I wanted to like look the best I could for him because I looked up to him so much. Like I thought that he was just the greatest person in the entire world. And so for me, like I took really good care of myself. I always dressed up and wanted to be this perfect person for him. But I remember we were in Chicago, I had these stiletto heels on, and like we had gotten in a huge fight. I thought that he was like going to see some other girl, which he probably was, but I took it off and I literally chucked it at him in the middle of the street in Chicago. Some guy comes out, it literally like smokes him in the forehead, fucking stiletto heel straight into his head. Some guy comes out of the house, yells at us, and I'm like,
what happens to your brain when you are in that kind of love where you're just I think like
it's a trauma bond.
There's no logic.
And like it's crazy too because like the love that I felt for him, like Sarah, like I cannot explain it. Like it was just like I could have exploded like how much like I was just infatuated with him.
Like when you see an animal.
But I've never felt that way about anyone else. And I mean like before or after even. And there's been plenty of time now after. And like but I think that I have been smart enough to know that, like there was a reason that like I knew I had to come out of the situation, and there was a reason that I knew that like there was like more for me than, you know, getting married and like being in that relationship.
I think that's what it is to your brain, because it was, you know, in like your younger 20s, like you're so dead set on getting married, and so you're like, oh, this is the person that I'm gonna marry, and so you grasp onto it and you're trying to hold on to it and keep it, and then you realize like, oh, I guess I didn't really need to do all that.
And I think like, too, like
I didn't need to act all crazy and shit. Like, sorry about that.
Yeah. And I think that the pattern continues as you move away from it. Yeah.
Like you're literally like trying to like get it, and like, you know, in the back of your head, like that wasn't healthy. I should be looking for something healthier. But that feeling is like
irreplaceable. Yeah. And
no one's going to do it.
It's triggering too. Like some of the stuff that I've been working through in therapy with my therapist have been like, I mean, like there were two whole sessions back to back where like I cried the entire time because I was just like, there's so much that I feel that I like just pushed down that I have not dealt with, because the emotions, they're painful. They hurt. It's like hard to think about. Like I left a situation that I sincerely never wanted to leave. Like I really did love him. Like I was infatuated with him. Like I would have literally done anything for that person.
That's the word. Like it's not love, it's infatuation.
Like even when he treated me as poorly as piss poor could be, like I still was like, I love you. Like I would do anything to like stay and make it work. And like I constantly put myself in those situations, and I think I was always giving more than I was getting back. And like I think that's where I finally like had that breaking point where I was just like, you know, I've watched him do like terrible things to me, and like even though he diminished them and made them not seem terrible, in hindsight when I look back, like my therapist, like I'm telling her these things and she was like, I hurt for you, I feel for you, and she was like, you have like legitimately convinced yourself that your relationship was not traumatic. And she was like, that like it was all traumatic. She's like, it was more traumatic than you're letting yourself believe it was. She was like, the emotions that you're feeling are not like normal emotions that like people have when they're in healthy relationships after they end.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're like reliving things and like remembering things and going through things like at the time you didn't, but now you're remembering them. And it's like those old feelings are like now like needing to be worked through. And that's why they feel so much bigger.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I went to therapy and stuff. I feel like I did work through some of that stuff, but like still to this day, if Chad texts me, it's like this feeling
that pit in your stomach.
It's like almost like a good pit where like I'm just like,
you get a rush of that, a small rush of that feeling again.
Yeah.
And it makes you question everything. Like it happens to me. Like anytime, what do we call him? Mike texts me, I will seriously question everything. Like I do it every time, but I'm still like, he's not my person. He's a bad person. Like I'm not saying that I've not had my fair share, but like the things that like he's done to me and said to me and like put me through, like you would not put someone through if you actually loved them.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that like my brain will try to convince me that like things were not ever bad. Like, I mean, you've watched me cry over this person and like have mental breakdowns about this person the whole almost 2 years we've lived together. And it's crazy because I'm like, talk to my therapist, like I'm telling her, she's like, it is so easy for your brain to remember.
Oh, I know.
The bad parts when you want to remember the good.
I think like, okay, so for instance, like when Chad and I meet up, we'll go to like somewhere that we used to go where it was like a good time. Like we went to this sushi restaurant over by where our old apartment was. And like I met him there and like I just forgot everything. Like he hugged me and it was just like I could have melted into him.
Yeah.
Like I literally, he could have said anything to me at that moment and like I would have just like melted.
I've maybe seen Mike twice since we broke up, and I think both of those times were so emotional and so like upsetting for me, and it like put me back 10 steps that like I don't know if in a couple years like it's gonna feel the same if it were to like ever like do a circle. But I don't know how you do that, because like I think that like that, like I think in the times that I've done it, it has been so like damaging to my mental and my emotional.
I think it's been long enough for me. You know, like we broke up in 2018, and then we didn't talk for like a year. Like there was a whole year that I was like, I have to like heal and figure out me. And in 2019, it was the best year of my entire life. I really did, like, that's when I started stand up. That's when like my life I started like putting me first. And then once I like put myself first, it wasn't as scary to like bring him back in. And I know that I shouldn't, but like when I'm like, no, I'm like the leader of my life, I can lead it without him. It makes it a little bit easier, but still like, there are moments where I'm like, what did I do?
That's how I feel too, though. Like whenever I mean, you watched me like literally take a massive jump out of that. Like you saw like our living situation. Like you were there for like almost all of it. Like
you broke up with him, moved into my house because I'm a crazy person. And I was like, I don't think you like him. Move into my house.
But in the same sense, so like if I wouldn't have had someone as big of a support system as you, like I might not have done it, and I still would have been questioning everything. Like, I mean, I was questioning like who I was as a person, like what I like to do, who I was. And like, I would agree with that. Like the first year out, it was so fucking hard. Like I went through so much, but I also feel like the things I've experienced and like where I'm at in life right now, I would have never gotten there otherwise. And like, I would not be where I am without doing that. And I don't regret it one bit.
But let me ask you this, like, since you have like, okay, so for me, it was like 2018 when we broke up. I've kind of seriously dated other people.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes feel like the people that you've dated since, you're like, was it even worth it? Like, it's not like I'm like getting any better. Like,
no, absolutely. I think that, I think one of the things like I've been working through is I have a lot of like, I don't have like, when people say abandonment issues, a lot of the time I think that their mind goes to like the most obvious, which is like someone physically leaving your life, or like like a parent leaving your life, or like being in its most like
actually
yeah sense of the word, abandoned. But I was saying to my therapist, I was like, I don't know if I should call it abandonment issues, because like both of my parents were there, but neither of them were emotionally available.
Right.
And she was like, okay, well that's like still abandonment, but like mentally and emotionally, like they left you to deal with things on your own, even if it wasn't physical.
Right.
So like, I don't know. I think that with my emotional abandonment, I tend to cling on to people because I think that that's where my void feels filled. And I have stayed with people or gotten into relationships solely based off of that, and not off of what I needed or the other person needed. And that's like something that I think that I'm really strong on trying to work on now that I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, my most recent, like you just saw, like that was someone that was right after a really traumatic and long and emotional relationship that I'm still processing the emotions of almost 2 years later. And I have stayed with that person when I know that it has not been like a good fit. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I would say dating people that hasn't been worth it, or like justifying why you're dating them because like you have like emotional voids that need filled, or like mental voids that need filled, even if it's not like serving you any purpose.
Yeah.
I think that that's a normal thing to do, but I don't think it's a healthy thing to do.
Yeah. I feel like for like maybe like the first 2 years afterwards, I was like I just need to be with somebody. And I think it got me into like some situations where I wasn't happy, but I was just kind of with somebody because they were there. But then in the past year, I feel like something just like smacked me in the face, and it was just like, you're happy alone. But I feel like when you're happy alone, it kind of draws people in that see that of you. They're like, oh, she's so confident and happy by herself. And it draws people in that aren't happy alone. And then I feel like the asshole when I'm like, I don't want to be with you. I don't want a relationship. I don't want this. And then then I turn into the asshole.
Well, and it's hard too, because you go after people who you have some type of sense of comfort in, you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't be drawn to them otherwise. Like this last person that I was with, I think that where there were a lot of things that he did that triggered me, there were also parts of him that were very like safe and comforting.
Oh, for
and
sure.
A lot of that goes back to like my childhood trauma. And like, I don't know that I'm going to like be able to work through a lot of that, like even in the near future, but it's like something that's going to take a really long time to like process and like get through and unpack and remember. But I really don't want to like continue the same patterns. You know what I mean? But it's hard not to, you know what I mean? Like it's comfortable to want to be with people who give you those feelings,
especially when they're like, I know this is so shitty, but like when they're doing things for you, like the last like
that's a sense of safety
situationship that I had, like they just did so much for me. And as much I do feel like an asshole because I was like, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship, but I like that, you know, you will drive me places.
It's almost like you get to a point where
and like,
when you realize like you guys would be better friends, there's always one of you that like it can't happen for.
Yeah.
And I think that like for you and I, both of those situations were like, we thought that we wanted something with him in the beginning. And then like kind of as it progressed, it seemed like maybe we were better friends, but then like, it's almost like you can't backtrack to that.
Yeah.
Like you enjoy their presence, you enjoy hanging out with them. Like it's so much fun on a friend level, but then it's like when you start adding in like the emotional and physical and mental aspect of a relationship with them, it doesn't seem as appealing.
Sex ruins everything.
I know.
Like,
I mean,
it really does.
Unless like you are like literally in love with that person and like you're in a healthy relationship with them, yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I mean, 100%.
I was just talking to one of my friends about this. I was like, I think like the next time I like am ready to let someone in, I'm gonna go like at least a month without sex. Like get to know them. Because I swear, I think it just like something happens to your brain when you have sex with somebody. I was also telling her, I was like, when we moved to Florida. Her name's Sammy. I can just say her name. When we moved to Florida, like we lived there for 4 months, and I always tell her, I was like, that was like the healthiest time of my entire life. Like I was so mentally and physically healthy in that moment. And I was like, told her just a couple days ago, I was like, you know what we didn't ever do in Florida? Have sex. Not once.
Yeah.
Not once. Like, cause we were just like so happy with ourselves and like doing our own thing. And I'm like,
and you're going to hate me for saying this, but like, I mean, you know how I am. And I think a lot of it was like some of my like religious background. And then like I learned like very, very early that like that was like an emotional thing for me. And like I almost couldn't handle it. Mm-hmm. But I have never been into like hookup culture. Like I've always been very strict about my relationships. It's like, you're going to date me. You're going to get to know me. Like I will not sleep with you unless like I feel like we have like basically dated enough that you are with good intent.
Right.
And then like it kind of saves your emotional and your mental piece, because like when you sleep with someone, then you get that like shock of anxiety, like why aren't they texting me, what are they doing, like, and like I think it almost creates like a toxic bond because you don't know the person, like you're guessing what their next move is, but it's because like you've had this like emotional and like physical exchange with them, like an exchange of energy is what it is essentially.
Yeah.
And that's what bounds you to them, and I don't think that that's healthy.
Right. Especially if you like come.
I mean, yeah. Like, I mean, your brain is releasing. Your brain is releasing hormones, and like,
I'm like not a hookup person either. Like, I hate it. I have done it. I did it like, God, like on my birthday 2 years ago, and like I hated every moment of it.
That's what
like,
I'm saying. It
you
puts
wake
you
up
in a
and
bad
like,
mental
because like
space.
you're letting somebody's energy come into you.
Literally.
I don't think you can. Neither one of us did. But like we like, you know, exchanged this energy, and then I was like, you didn't deserve that.
Yeah,
from
that's
me.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like I have such good energy. I'm such a vibe. Like,
yeah.
But like you didn't deserve to have that.
Yes.
Like, and I know like maybe that is like I didn't grow up religious at all, but like maybe it's like a female thing, but like when you are giving somebody that, you're like, I don't know why, because I'm not religious, but it still feels like, okay, that's like such a like,
yeah. And like I think I feel
you saw me naked.
I know, that's what I'm saying though. Like I feel very fortunate that like if I took anything out of that was one of them, because I couldn't imagine who I would be if I didn't have that as emotional of a person that I am. I don't know if I still would have, but I don't know. I feel like that definitely makes things toxic. I don't think it's ever like a healthy way to like approach a relationship.
Yeah. What to like
to sleep with them like right away.
Sex.
I mean,
yeah,
no,
like
not
I don't think
that,
you should ever do it. Honestly, I think cancel.
And that too, like I think that when you're in a toxic situation, like yeah, like sometimes like the sex can be better, but at the end of the day, like do you ever really not feel like shit? You know what I mean? Like does it really outweigh the other?
Yeah. I feel like it's only good when it's like toxic. You know what I mean? Like it's like you don't have like regular good sex. You only have like good sex when it's like I am trying to like hold you, like I'm trying to keep you. Like I'm like literally like physically showing you like I want to be with you so bad.
Yeah,
like,
that was one of the biggest parts of my last like long relationships. Like I feel like I almost used my love language as like a way to like try to like keep someone all the time. And like I am a very physical touch person. So like when I feel like you're too far away, like I want you to be like right here.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with that.
I have said like we are getting vulnerable. I'm like, I give good head, but it's not because I'm like sexy or anything. It's because like
it's not because I'm sexy.
I'm not a sexy person. Like I'm not like this like hot girl that you like,
hot, cute, silly girl.
But like if you like hook up with me, I'm not like sexy about it. But like I want you to love me so bad that like
so bad. So bad. I think it's funny though, because like I've noticed like when we were talking yesterday, like in the bathroom, you're like, what are you doing to these men? Like I am not kidding. I will forcefully make them have like an so like with men are not that complicated, to be honest. Their little pea brains do not require a lot, and like
we overthink it.
Yes, but like men will be, it's easier to get a man bonded to you when you kind of force an emotional connection on them first. It is like men bond through like mental and emotional connection. Like that's where for us it's physical, like where our brain like releases all of those like hormones during sex, and like we get bonded to them in that way.
Yeah.
Men like feel a connection and a bond to you when you get them to be vulnerable with you, when they can trust you.
Ooh,
that is how that happens.
That's so
like
scary.
For me, I feel like that, like when you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like I get to a point, and you've seen me do it.
Because you literally like
I will get men like men. I'm not manipulating them, but in a roundabout way, like I walk people into very vulnerable situations by asking questions, and like they don't even realize they're doing it until they've told me their entire life story, and then like we'll sit there in silence, and they're like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know why I just told you all that. And I'm like, no, baby, you're right where I want you.
Right? Like a guy opening up to you is like
it's
the most like vulnerable thing that they can do.
Yeah,
like,
no, it is.
I'll tell them my whole life story and then be totally fine, and then we like hook up, and I'm like,
but that's what I'm saying. And then like I think when you build like such an emotional and a mental connection with them, when there's no physical to it, they trust you more.
Yeah.
And then they kind of get that like, well, I really like this person. Like I've been vulnerable with this person. Where like a lot of the time I think our dating culture has been more towards like, let's see if we have a physical first, and then we'll do the mental and emotional. But without the mental and emotional, like I think the physical will come naturally when you have a strong mental and emotional.
When like you like each other.
And when you start with that first, like you're eliminating, for a woman, you're eliminating the possibility of you getting hurt because you're not the one bonded in that same way.
Yeah.
I think when you make a man bond to you first, and then you can bond with them through physical, like your chances of getting hurt are a lot less. That's just my personal take on it. But I figured that out. Like I figured that out at a really young age.
I feel like even when I've like gone that route though, where it's like, oh, let's like see if we like each other first, and then like do the physical stuff, I still feel like it's like as soon as the physical stuff happens, it's like it just like ruins everything.
I don't think I've had that so much, but I
think it's because I do like start to overthink everything.
Yes, yeah.
I'm just like,
yeah. I kind of like, I don't know though. I feel like I like to like see where they're at first. Like I like to see like where their head's at, and then that kind of tells me like,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like in my brain, like I know like how I'm like steering the ship. Like I like to be in control when it comes to stuff like that, because I know that I am so emotional that I know I will get hurt if I'm not the one in control of how it's happening.
I also just want like whatever I can't have. Like last night, you were like, I like wanted to talk to that guy, and you were like, Sarah, I think he's gay, and I was like, that's exactly what I like.
That's what I want.
Like
a girl tried to kiss him, and he literally goes. Like in the most literal sense, dodged it, like, and then turned around and started dancing.
And then I was like,
he was twerking, Sarah.
Oh my God. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know what it is about like a super feminine man, but I'm just like, Well,
let me eat your ass.
Yeah, like I'll. What you want a finger in your booty? I'll do it.
You want a finger in your booty? I'll do it. But I mean, like I literally
Can they
feel
hear us out there? Oh, okay.
I literally feel like too, and like my preference is the fucking. It's so weird because mine is like I don't think I really have a type, but I think I do have a type. Like I love myself a tall, curly-headed ex-frat fuck. I do. I'm not kidding. I'm like, I want to eat that shit up. I also feel like those are the ones that are like the hardest ones to crack. And when I can do it, I'm like, oh
yeah, like a guy that like his dad was kind of like mean to him.
Yeah. Like they really are like really hard to open up.
Yeah,
and then when you get into like you can, it's funny. Like I know this like sounds, this sounds toxic of me, but like I love when I can like see it in a man, like when they like the turning point starts happening, like you can see it in their eyes, like when they start talking about stuff that like they wouldn't normally talk about when they get vulnerable. And like that's like when the switch turns on. And then like in that moment, I'm always like the Grinch smile. I'm like,
if they cry,
but it's like crazy because it's like you can tell like
I also get eyes.
But I also get like satisfaction knowing that like they are like they're releasing some heavy shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they are like being vulnerable and they're talking about things that they probably wouldn't.
Like
and,
a therapy session.
Yeah, but like it's like bonding you to them
God.
because it's like they're telling you like things that like they wouldn't tell people, and like that is like a trust thing. You know what I mean?
Ew. Well.
I'm sorry guys, there was a lot that had to be let out there, but where we were taking that though, both of us have had the relationship this past one where it's like you're trying to let go and now the other person like did not want to let go, and then like that becomes a very like toxic situation. Like our door has been through the fucking ringer now.
Oh my God. Oh, we're going back to the door.
Our door's done.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like
okay, and like I do feel like I still hold on, like you said, I still hold on to that one relationship. He's like my like fucking Roman Empire. I still think about him like once a week.
Yeah, Mike will be my Roman Empire.
Yeah, like
I'll never stop thinking about him, but I think I know that I one will never be with him again, and two that like that type of love will never happen again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've accepted that fact.
But when you like hold everyone else to that standard, which I'm like, why am I holding everyone to his standard? Like he wasn't even that special, but in my mind he was. So I think I've like drove some people crazy. Like I'll admit that. Like I have like yes, our door has been slammed a lot of times and I've probably been the cause of some of that. Like
oh, same.
Like I get it. Like
your intent isn't to hurt people. That's not your intent. I think that a lot of time it happens because you're trying to save face and you're trying to save their feelings when like in all actuality maybe being mean and like saying what you have to say would be the better route.
But then you're mean and then they get mad.
Yeah.
And I'm
like,
like,
I don't think there's
me.
ever a good way to approach it, honestly.
Yeah. Like when somebody's just not here. Like I literally that last one where the door got slammed on my relationship, I literally like told them, I was like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
And I'm showing you that every day by the way that I treat you. And you are not seeing it. You don't want to hear it.
Or like when you do.
I'm literally using you. I'm telling you this out loud. I am using you for what you do for me.
And when
like,
you also like sit there and have
it.
like conversations when like you do try to end it and then it's like they try to manipulate you into like staying because they don't want you to go. And I think that is another like big thing too. Like I feel like there's been plenty of times in this like last one that like I was like, okay, like I agree, like I don't think that this is healthy. I don't think we should, continue doing what we're doing. And it's almost just like they show back up, they beg you to not do that, they emotionally manipulate you. And like for me, I'm a very like empathetic, sympathetic, like emotion forward person. So I think when people see that, that's like kind of where I need to work on being better at not letting people like manipulate me in that way, because I think that when they see that, it's easy for them to be like, okay, well, if I like pull on her heartstrings, she'll stay or she'll listen to me.
You have to like know when it's time to close the door, like literally slam the door though, like and mentally as well. Like there's just times where it's like, okay, we just have to end this. Like we like,
and it's hard.
And like block, delete.
Yeah, and like no breakups like, easy. It doesn't matter small or
suck,
you know what I mean.
Dude.
Like it's just really hard. Like in general, cutting things off or like knowing eventually that person's gonna be with someone else. Like those are never comfortable feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no matter where you're at with them mentally, like. I don't necessarily want to see, either of the people that I've been with, like, be with other people. But I'm also like, I didn't want to be with you. So I can't be selfish in those ways. And, like, I know that there's someone out there for me that, like, will do the things and will show up for me in the ways I need them to.
Yeah. I think that's the worst part too, when they like don't move on. Like my Chad like has just never really moved on. And so it's always been so easy to just like occasionally go back, because it's like, well, you haven't moved on. I haven't moved on. Like what? Like, what are we doing? Like, why?
I don't think it's that you haven't moved on. I think that the door isn't fully closed. I don't know that like moving on is like necessarily like the word, because I wouldn't say that like you're sitting here like plotting how you're going to get back with him.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I don't know. And like same, like, I feel like there are some times where like my brain just fucking goes haywire, and like I do that same thing where I'm like, oh, I made a mistake. I did this. I did that. And then like,
Especially because like it's kind of the same situation for both of us. Like they really did like take care of us and like did certain things for us that were great. However, it was really toxic. But like you remember, like for me, I'm always like, I could have just like been like a little mommy influencer and be living in a mansion and having like maybe not the best life, but I could make it look really good.
You
like,
always would have had that void, and like that's the thing that sucks.
Yeah, like
it would not have been fulfilling in its most literal sense.
But also, I'm like, this is what I wanted. Like, I wanted a dream. Like, that's
I think
so
more than
stupid.
anything, like the one thing that makes me emotional when I look back on that was that like being told that like I wouldn't be able to like financially take care of myself, and that like I wouldn't be able to make it, and then like everything that I was trying to do I would not be able to do. I look back and I'm like, I really am like proud of myself for moving away, for doing everything that I was told I couldn't do, for putting myself in a better situation. But it doesn't mean that I don't have those moments still.
Yeah.
But I mean, like looking back on it, like I very, very often have to remind myself, like, yeah, I might miss that feeling and I might miss that person, but I don't miss the way I was treated, or I wouldn't have left, and I didn't miss the void that I constantly felt. Like I didn't know who the fuck I was. Like,
yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
Like when we talk about like I had no social life. Like when I tell you like I literally didn't go out, didn't hang out with people. Like the only friends I had were either work friends or like people that I had already had in my life, and like none of it was healthy. None of those relationships were healthy. And like I came here and like I feel like I literally just like blossomed so much.
Yeah.
And like I have so much like love for that situation and that feeling, that like I have genuine friends here, like genuine connections with people, and like I am taking care of myself. Like I don't have to answer to someone. I'm not answering to someone. Like that in itself is an amazing feeling.
Yeah, just to like feel like you're whole as a person. I do feel like that. Like I feel like both of us at this point are like really whole within ourselves and happy alone.
Yeah.
I know that like I bring up this like 30-year-old shit so much, and it's so annoying because like it really is just a number. But like I think something chemically starts happening in your brain at 30 where you're just like, did I fuck up? Like I like just and like I don't even really want kids, but your brain just like has this like fucking chemistry in it where it's like, hey, you never did that. Like, just reminding you, like,
but that's like,
you never
another, like,
did that
normal,
whole thing
like,
that like you thought you were gonna do. Like,
I don't know. I just like I'm not disagreeing with you. Like I sincerely feel like for me, I could not imagine having kids. I cannot see myself being a mom. I cannot see myself living in a house. Like I can see myself.
You'd be awful. I'm kidding.
No, dude. I mean, like I think I would be like really good, like emotionally and mentally, like showing up for a kid. But I think I would exhaust myself so much that it would drive me mad.
Yeah, like you'd go to every football game, but you'd also
I would feel like I had no sense of me, and I think that like I think when I found my sense of me, like I don't ever want to lose that.
I know that by like the way that I've treated my animals. I will go balls to the wall for like if I have a kid, and my mom was really bad about this. Like my mom is toxic in a lot of ways, but she loves the shit out of me. Like,
100%.
Like she literally like loves me so much that it's like
suffocating sometimes. Yeah.
Like she just wants the best for me, so it comes out in really weird ways for her. She never really figured out how to like tell her emotions in a good way, and so a lot of times it comes out in like anger and stuff. But I will be like that with my kids too. Like just so like if I had kids, I'd just be like, all over them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just don't want to have that feeling. And like when I like picture what my life looks like I don't see myself living in a fucking, house in a suburb with kids taking him to soccer practice and like being in a half-ass marriage with someone. Like that's like not what I want. Like I think when I see myself, I'm not scared of marriage. Like I do want to find someone, but I would rather like get married to someone and like live out a life that is meaningful to me and not just a life that feels like society has pushed.
Yeah,
you
they
know
really
what I mean?
have. I'm not scared of a relationship. I'm scared of a breakup.
That too. I think that's always scary. Like, especially when you like catch feelings for someone, like you either know it has to end eventually or that you will be with that person. But I think either way, it's scary.
Yeah.
Like it's scary to think that like that could be your person, that you could potentially miss out on someone else or something else like by committing, or you can be with that person and know that like you love them so much and you chose them, but it could end.
Yeah.
Like I think it goes both ways. Like I don't think has there ever been a time when you're like in a relationship and you think like, am I supposed to be with this person? Like, oh, like what else is out there? Or like say like you meet someone, like someone comes up to you and they like try to flirt with you, or you have like a conversation with them and then you're like, damn, like in that short amount of time, like am I missing something? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's like not talked about often enough either. Like I'm not saying that like you should like, like you don't do that, but I'm just saying like I think that I've had those feelings where like when I was with my Mike, like I remember there would be a couple times where like,
oh Mike,
I would have just like a conversation with someone, a very brief, like innocent, just like friendship conversation with someone, or like I'd go out to the bar and like someone would be flirting with me and I'm like, these are things I wish my person was doing that isn't doing, and I'm seeing it in 5 minutes.
Sometimes you have such a good conversation with
and
someone
you're like,
and
what in the fuck?
Oh.
Yeah, like holy shit. Or like I don't know, like that feeling I think is weird. And then like when you are with someone,
I've never gone for that person that I have a really good conversation with. Like I've never gone for that person.
Do you like the mystery?
Yeah, like I almost like to like force conversation out of them, and then like I'm like, I got him. I trapped him into talking. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I just think that the feeling can be like either way, and it's like scary because I think too when you really like someone, because I also felt that way about my Mike, was that like I dreaded the day that it was gonna end, but I knew it would. Like I think I always knew it would, and that feeling was there the entire time.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think that's where a lot of my anxiety came from.
I can't remember. Yeah.
I feel like where I was like so fully overly committed, I don't know that he was ever at the same point that I was, no matter how much he like would like to think that he was, even at the end.
Yeah, I don't think I ever feared that he was gonna like leave me, but I feared that like we just weren't ever gonna progress past what we were. Like I was like, I don't think he's ever gonna ask me to like marry him or anything.
I didn't even get that feeling either though, but like when you say like progress, like I feel like we weren't ever gonna progress as like not having the same arguments, not having the same conversations, me not begging him to love me in the way that I like needed to be loved, or like vice versa. And it's just like always in the same book on a different page, never on the same page ever.
You're on a whole new chapter now.
I know, I'm in a whole different book, babe. We ain't even in the same book no more.
I didn't switch to an audiobook. Girl.
Yeah, and then watching that person like literally move down the street. You know what it's like? I think that there's a lot to be said about like I think what I did for myself, and like proving that I could do those things, and just kind of like, and like being like I would never go there, I would never do this, I would never do that, and I'm like you're doing all the things, so it's like I don't know.
You know what's crazy is like when my Chad like lived in Indy still, we like never saw each other, and then when he moved to Minnesota, wherever, that's when like we started seeing each other again, because I was just like, I think in that moment you realize that it's actually going away, like it's actually gone, and when you notice like, oh, I actually can't have this, I was like, we really did it, we really like ended this for
I
good.
feel like I think I have felt that feeling more since being in therapy about what the limbo was that like me and my Mike were in for so long, because it's like there would be moments of like reaching out, and there would be moments of like, you know, asking to hang out, and I would always consider it and always like think about it, but then I'd always have to go back to, well, where does that put me as far as like closing the door on potential other opportunities, or putting myself in a situation where now I'm like forcing my healing process to be even longer.
Yeah,
because I think like for me it's like that person is like, absolutely no, never, like this could be a hookup, nothing more. And like for me, I'm like, that's not for me. It's like, again, on 2 different fucking pages at all times, like that's just like proof of it. So I'm like, I don't know, because I'm like, even then I'm like, I just don't know that like for me I'm ever gonna be able to like get back to like the possibility of even like trying to see him, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what's your next step? Are you gonna just be single?
I think where I'm at right now, I'm very happy with like the progress I've made with like some of those like big feelings that I've just like been avoiding and like repressing essentially. And talking about them has been a big relief. And like you're like literally watching me make decisions that I haven't been able to make for a year. Like this is the first time you've seen me really be like, I'm not going to go back to that situation out of comfort. And then like, I don't think I'm not seeking anything out. I'm not like rushing or forcing anything, but I also am like a firm believer that like, you shouldn't close doors for like potential opportunities. Like, I think if I met someone and like it felt right and like things happened in a healthy way, maybe, but I would say like right now, like, no, like I'm not like actively out there like looking to be like dating the next person. I think right now like I just need to focus on kind of getting through some of this childhood stuff, because a lot of that is like the reason that I think a lot of my relationships keep going sideways, because I'm like falling into habits I'm not even like realizing that I'm doing just from things that have happened in my past, you know what I mean?
I think for me, like being single for like an entire year now, like completely, well, no, like 9 months I've been like completely single, and it's been like super healing, but there's also moments where like it's hard.
Because as a human you crave like physical intimacy. Like that is a normal feeling, like just intimacy emotionally, mentally, and like physically from someone, especially when you go that long. I think there's something to be said about being able to go that long without having it, because it's fucking hard. And I also think it's really important that like you're acknowledging that you are doing that for yourself, because that's huge. There's a lot of people that can't do that.
It is rewarding in a lot of ways, and honestly in the past year I feel like I have been the best version of myself that I have ever been. Like career wise, I have skyrocketed. I have like physically, mentally, like I'm way physically, mentally stronger. But I do feel like I am stronger, but then like there are just nights where like
your judgment isn't as clouded when you're not latched to someone or something. You know what I mean?
There's like, just nights where I'm like you get used to like I was like a serial dater for like my early 20s, and it was like long-term relationships too. It wasn't like I was just like out like dating whoever. Like I was in a 5-year relationship, a 3-year relationship, then a 2-year relationship. So it was like finally like going to bed by yourself and like do it. Like yesterday,
I've been finding more peace in doing that lately too.
It was weird.
You know what I mean?
It's weird. Like yesterday, like you were working. I didn't feel like when you're in a relationship, you just always have that person that you can be like, okay, we're going shopping or we're doing this. Like yesterday, I was like, I realized like how often I do things alone now, like completely alone, just normal task that like when you have a partner, they just seem kind of like easier. But I think that's honestly some of the stuff I miss, like going to the grocery store together. And like that, which is weird. Like I don't miss like so much like physical intimacy. I miss like just having someone to be like,
someone there.
Run Saturday like someone there. Errands with. Like, is that a weird thing?
Yes,
like,
no,
I
not
just
at
miss
all.
like having my Saturday errand partner.
You know what else I like? I love the feeling of, and I hate that it goes away. I love the feeling of like being excited about someone. Like when someone's like, I'm gonna come pick you up, and like you have like those butterflies and like you're excited to see them, and like being with them is so much fun, and like having just like that excitement. And I hate that part goes away. Like I love that in the beginning of your relationship. Like sometimes I feel like I seek that out more than like the actual relationship. Like I love being able to be like, oh, like you're gonna come get me.
Ooh,
like,
we're gonna go on a date.
And like I have something to look forward to, like that giddy feeling.
I miss is like breakfast in the morning. Like waking up next to someone.
I hate breakfast.
I love like waking up next to someone and having like even if we make it at home or whatever, but just like having someone that like in the morning is gonna be there, and you guys can like go to breakfast or do whatever you want. Like when you're just like, well, I guess I gotta text somebody or eat alone. Like,
yeah, 100%. No,
like that part is so weird to miss. Like, but I don't know. I think we're healing. We're doing better.
That is, if there was any question, I think that to answer your question, I think that that's what's next for me. I think that now that I have finally like closed a door that you've watched me like revolve in for way past its expiration date, which is another thing that I'm terrible at doing, like just ending it when it's done, like beat to death, it's done. And I'm like, is it breathing still? Did you check twice? Like, I think that I'm
seeing if it's breathing.
I think that I'm like finally at a point that I am like, okay,
it's dead. I can't hear anything.
I need to heal some really fucked up shit.
We're healing.
This was our healing episode.
Well, I'm healed. I'm all better. Thank you.
Honestly, I am glad that we've like finally been able to have this
relationship topic.
Yeah, because I think that because we've both been in relationships that we have had to be careful about what we have said on here this entire time we've had the podcast. Yeah. It's been really nice to be a little bit more vulnerable and like transparent about it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. Like I feel like there are some topics that like would require us to kind of like deep dive into that, and like we just have not been able to like touch on those topics. And for what?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously like I'm not like spilling my guts as much as I probably could like with you and I, but who knows? Maybe I'll get more vulnerable on here. Maybe I'll start talking about it a little bit more. But
the door's
I'm okay
open.
Like talking about like the past right now because
100%. Yeah,
it's in the past. It's gone. It's never coming back. He did ask me to go on vacation with him to Jamaica, and I almost said yes, but I didn't. I didn't do it.
And that's on health. That's on a healthy girl era. She's not gonna do it.
I was like, Jamaica. Oh. And then I was like,
nice
no. And actually, you know what? I said no. And then the next week, I reached out to this podcast in Florida to go be on it for the same week that I was supposed to go to Jamaica. And they were like, yes, of course. And you can come to our show and stuff. And I'm like, okay, see what happens when you say no and then you do something for yourself. Like, bam, it works out for you. Shit, didn't know that. Like, that's great.
It's amazing.
And now I'm doing something for myself that week instead.
See?
The
universe puts you where you should be. See how easy it is? Just say no, girlies. Just say no.
Just say no. Don't talk to anybody ever. No, I'm kidding.
Men and relationships.
What's my next step? Probably just continue being alone.
I think for you're in a spot where you probably could date a little bit more, but I still think the idea of it scares you.
Oh, it's so scary. Again, I am not scared of dating. I am scared of breaking up.
Yeah.
Because I know that
it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Especially like with me, like another thing I haven't really talked about, like one, because like of my job and stuff, but now, don't have that. Like moving and everything. Like I know that I want to move, and like if I get into something right now, like that's what I'm scared of. Like it's inevitably it's gonna end because it's either like, oh, are you gonna move to fucking LA or New York with me? No.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna do that. Like what if I?
But there's not to say that you're not like Sarah. Like, you don't even know what's gonna happen in like 6 months. Like say you move there and like the week you move there, you meet somebody. Like you don't know that. Like you can't plan for it. You can't expect it, but you also don't know that.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Like
put the hair down.
Sorry about that. The whole time they were just like living in the apartment complex that I move into.
But you never know. Like you don't know. And like that's the coolest part about it. Sarah, you also have to be open to the idea of it. Is that what's happening?
I don't even know what I'm looking for. That's the problem. Like I'm literally like,
you don't have to know that.
I have no idea. Like they could slap me in the face and be like, I'm your person, and I'd be like, I don't know what I want.
Really know.
Like I literally have no criteria. No, like I remember when I was younger, I'd be like, I want them to be 6'1", and I want them to have this personality trait, and they have to be funny, and like their mom has to be cool, and I want them to live here. And now I'm like,
I just want you to be nice to me, bro.
Will you just like not be mean to me?
Yeah, literally.
Like literally just say like a couple nice things to me, and I'll like treat you like gold, man.
That's it.
I'll do it. Like I'm so sweet.
Touch my clitoris one time. Massage my labia.
One labia massage. I'm sold.
Pluck my pubes. Just kidding.
Okay,
all right, I'm sorry.
I don't like my pubes plugged.
A step too far, per usual. Well, thank you everyone for listening to
after
us
that,
use this as a therapy session.
Emotional breakdown.
That was the breakdown today, baby.
I will be on tour. Let me just tell you all the cool things that I'm doing instead of all the like sad things that are going on in my life. It's not sad. It's great.
No, it's great.
I'm going
it's
on
good.
tour with Hannah Berner. I'll be in Kansas City on Friday, Indianapolis on Saturday, and Columbus on Sunday of this month, at the end of this month, the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And then Milwaukee, somewhere else in Wisconsin, and Chicago the following week. So excited for that.
It's gonna be very exciting. I'm happy for you. You're
I'm
gonna do
excited
amazing.
to travel.
You're gonna win.
And I'm also going to be on Two Girls and a Blunt podcast next week, 2 weeks from now. So listen in for that. They're pretty cool. So yeah. There's the good things that are going on in my life.
Sounds amazing. It's gonna be great. You're gonna win. That concludes this session. Till next time. Not our instinct breathing. That was good. That was really good.